Hello, my name's Jessica Amir. I'm from Bell Direct, and today I'm chatting with organic baby food business Bubs Australia. And with me now is Kristy Carr, the CEO and founder. Thanks so much for coming along.
Thanks, Jessica. Thanks for having me.
Well, congratulations on all your success. So for those that don't know or haven't seen your products on the shelves, you're in Coles, Chemist Warehouse, and some good pharmacies, and you've also just rolled out into Woolies, which is very exciting. But for those who aren't familiar, tell us about your products and how they differentiate from the other products on the shelves like Bellamy's and A2 milk.
Certainly. Well, Australia is our home market and very important to us. And, we strongly believe that our success in global markets and in particular in China will depend on our footprint in Australia and our success here at home. So we now have, really undeniably a very strong footprint in Australia. All of our infant formula products are now across key supermarket chains like Coles and more recently Woolworths, which is a really big step change for the business as we just from this month onwards roll out all 8 of our infant formula products into Woolworths stores around Australia, and of course our strategic partnership with Chemist Warehouse. So we now have all 30 of Bubs infant nutrition products across Chemist Warehouse stores nationally. So I think, with regards to our unique positioning as a brand, it really centres around goat dairy and our hero product line being goat milk infant formula. And that has great digestive benefits for many children here and particularly in Asian communities.
And because of that demand and the strong rise in goat milk products, your half-year results, your half-year revenue rose almost 40%. And estimates are that your second half revenue will continue to strengthen as well for a couple of reasons. The rise of the Daigou customer, China consumption is increasing, plus there's many other factors. But we can't help to ignore that because of coronavirus, it could have an impact on the business, but I'm guessing your long-term strategy, like many other businesses, remains the same. So tell us about the impact and if there is any.
Sure. We were very pleased with our first half year results. Many of the foundation milestones that we had set in place started to come to fruition, and we were most impressed that growth had been driven by our most profitable sector of the business, being the goat milk infant formula, which has increased 77% compared to the prior period, and also our infant formula sales direct into China had doubled during that period. In terms of the, impact of the coronavirus, we look at it in terms of both, downside risk as well as potential upside in both the supply chain and the end consumer demand. And I think Bubs Australia is very well placed on both ends of the spectrum. Certainly from a supply chain, our last 3-year strategy of vertically integrating the business has paid off. 70% or over 70% of our revenue comes from 4 key SKUs products where the main ingredient is goat milk, and that goat milk is sourced from our own milk pool here in Australia and New Zealand. So across the business anyway, we don't import a single ingredient within our supply chain from China, so that has never been a real concern for us. And any of the raw materials or packaging that we do source outside of Australia, we have many alternatives to source internally or from other companies through our global procurement. So we see ourselves very well protected from our supply chain, and the fact that we own our own facility, we can be very flexible and in control of our own production. And then I guess on the other end of the spectrum is the consumer demand. And, we have certainly seen some surge in sales over recent months as, many parents, particularly Chinese parents, are stockpiling products like infant formula. This is a situation where infant formula is absolutely the highest priority pantry staple. And given both our goat dairy infant formula and adult goat dairy milk powder products are both long life products, they are still in high demand. So although some parts of the ecosystem have been impacted, where perhaps Chinese tourists and Chinese students are generally part of the Daigou channel. Other areas of our logistics and route to market, like the corporate Daigou channel, is actually increasing and performing very strongly. So, overall, we haven't changed the outlook for the business. Internally, we are still continuing to kick all of our milestones week on week and month on month. And I think the medium to long-term consumer sentiment will only be stronger globally towards both food security and health and well-being, which the Bubs sort of premium infant formula that has full transparency across its supply chain is very well placed to respond to.
And for those that don't know as well, Bell Potter and City have both got your stock as a buy, albeit a speculative buy, because you're, I guess some could say, in the early stages of growth, which is very exciting, particularly because you've just welcomed Australia's biggest retailer under your belt. But there's plenty of upside for the business, and there's also speculation that you could be taken over. But I just wanted to touch on your strategy, market share as well, what we can expect going forward.
Certainly. Well, our core focus is really behind goat dairy as a key ingredient. And I think that's what's attracted many of our retail investors to the business, but also our Chinese, investors and business partners. And if we look at just the infant formula category in China, although the total volume of the category is under some pressure, due to the declining birth rates, the value of the category is increasing, and that is being driven by premiumisation, and imported goat brands really sit right in the heart of that growth trend. So we're seeing, goat milk infant formula right now taking up 11-12% of the total infant formula category, which is quite a substantial niche in the category, and on a compound annual growth rate across the next 5 years, we're expecting that to grow at about 18%. So definitely growing ahead of the total conventional category. And it's a supply chain that will become more and more under duress as that demand exceeds the supply globally. So, not only are we a premium imported brand with a real heritage and authentic story that lasts over the last 14 years, but we're able to take that strong Australian provenance story to a growth sector of the market with the security that we're going to be able to increase and keep up with the supply chain.
Wonderful. Well, the business is definitely kicking goals, growing CAGR double digits, so exceptional, and it looks like you're quite resilient amid Corona. So Kristy Carr, Bubs Australia, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Jessica.
And thank you for watching. For more information, head over to Bell Direct's website or contact your advisor.